The final season of Stranger Things will be released soon, and there is a lot of speculation of what the final monster is going to be. In the first season, it was the Demogorgon, and a lot of people have had some debate about what the final monster is going to be.
What is it?
It's the Thessalhydra, I'm telling you.
It's not the Thessalhydra.
I'm telling you, it's the Thessalhydra.
The Thessalhydra!
Yes, that's right, the Thessalhydra. That's the fan theory of what's going to be happening in Season 5. And let me tell you, this is a perfect excuse for me to finally unbox my own Ralpartha Hydra, which was seen in the show. The Ralpartha 02-901 Hydra, sculpted by the amazing Julie Guthrie, all things dark and dangerous, from 1982. Now, there wasn't an official Thessalhydra available back then, during the Stranger Things times, so this was an acceptable proxy miniature. And what a great miniature to have just in general. You could use this as a Hydra, you could use this as a multi-headed dragon. Certainly a versatile and excellent miniature. There was a time of legendary confrontation, an era that predates the chronicles of civilized man. This was the age of good versus evil, order versus chaos. It was the time of heroic personalities, of stalwart adventurers, and notorious, infamous villains. Glorious victories were won, and ignoble defeats suffered. Songs were sung, and legends made. They don't make miniature packaging like this anymore, let me tell you that. In any case, you probably saw the large warning that this is, in fact, a miniature that does have lead in the metal mix. This was before Ralpartha changed their mix and went with a pewter blend. This miniature, sadly, does have a lot of lead in it, so you want to make sure that you wash your hands after handling it. Don't allow miniatures like this around pets and small children, and just make sure that you prime paint all surfaces on it, so once you have it painted, it's relatively safe to handle with little chances of lead dust being kicked up. I thought it would be interesting to note one of the other Stranger Things tie-ins with D&D, the original starter set. The Thessalhydra was actually the main monster in this adventure, which is interesting. Now, does this feed into the theory that this very well might be the main antagonist in Season 5? I don't know, probably not. They mentioned it at the end of the Season 1, so I think maybe that's probably the main reason why they included it with this. Still neat, regardless. Also of interest is how the Thessalhydra is actually depicted in Mike Wheeler's campaign. It's kind of a stocky style Thessalhydra, not really reminiscent of the original artwork for this monster, but rather something else that I'll show you in a little bit. But still, a lovely depiction of a younger kid's D&D monster. Very, very nostalgic and neat. And let's take a look at the Monster Manual 2 and see the original entry for this monster. As we can see here, it's a little less svelte. It kind of almost looks like it has a leech mouth, and the snakes are less protruding and more kind of like stubby, like they're really close to the big central mouth. Still a terrifying monster. I'd love to see a miniature based on that. But Mike Wheeler's depiction is actually much more similar to a version found in the Dungeon magazine back when Paizo was doing it. Worm Crawl Fisher. Yes, for those people who are watching this didn't know, Paizo, the Pathfinder guys, used to actually work hand in hand with Wizards of the Coast. And another thing I want to note is that the digital supplement for this magazine issue is actually still being hosted by Paizo. That's how I got this image. It's still there. I'll actually leave a note if anybody wants to download this adventure. But I did think it was interesting that the worm crawl Thessalhydra did look an awful lot like the Mike Wheeler version. I thought that was pretty cool. Anywho, let's very carefully open this vintage package up, and let's see what condition the miniature is in. I'll let you know that I had a pretty easy time dealing with this guy. There wasn't that much trimming to be done. I didn't have to do any sanding, which is good because, again, this is lead. But yeah, for a miniature made in 1982, I was happy to see that I was able to get the fit done for all of these parts without having to do any filling or anything like that. Once I was done doing the minimal trimming needed and putting it together with some glue, it did take me a couple tries to make sure I had the fit correct. I decided to go with a relatively simple paint job, and I just decided to go with kind of a brighter, duller green blue. And I did use some advanced painting techniques, but yeah, it's basically just different shades of green. The only truly fancy thing that I did is that I used a little bit of metallic green and then white on the eyes. So if you notice, some of them look much better than others. I decided that this miniature deserved a basic paint job, but a paint job that still allowed the amazing details from Julie Guthrie's original sculpt to come through. Some of the expressions of the snakeheads are amazing. And again, I feel that this miniature deserves to be a workhorse miniature. Despite being this old, I could see many, many potential uses for it. And you know what? This just looks neat on my miniature shelf as well. So this is a miniature from 1982, so the only negative is going to be the scale of this miniature. It's just not quite as massive as the 28mm heroic current day miniatures are, and so it's definitely going to have a place in my collection. But yeah, I think if you're going to do a serious collection of miniatures like this, you're really going to have to maybe consider focusing on getting a complete vintage set that you can play with, because all of those sets are either going to be in 20mm, 25mm true non-heroic, or even smaller stuff. I know some people have 15mm sets. I know people have 20mm sets. I have sets from all sorts of scales, and as long as they look somewhat okay on the table, I am totally cool with mixing and matching throughout all of the eras, throughout all of the scales. You're going to be looking down on the miniature from 3 to 4 feet away anyways, so yeah. And you know what? I think this Hydra is definitely going to find a great place in my rotation of miniatures. So there you have it, folks, the Thessalhydra, the Hydra miniature as seen in Season 1 of Stranger Things. What do you think? Do you think this really will be the end boss of the final season of Stranger Things? Or is that just kind of a lame internet theory? Hey, I don't know, but let me know what you think in the comments below, and also let me know if you want me to review any other old school or vintage Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. I will talk to you later.